So we are now to begin page 49. And these are all experiences of realization of the larger self within us. And it seems as if the larger self is within us, but it's just an apparent thing. It's not within us. We are in the larger self. Like we as bodies and minds are in the larger self. What we usually call as Brahman or Atman. So Atman is not within us. We are in the Atman. So that larger self, that one shared being that all of us have, that is what is being realized, and all these experiences are being shared here with us. So let us start the new lines. Yeah, so again, referring to the larger self. Anyone who feels ready, please go ahead.
It is the origin and the master clue, a silence overhead, an inner voice, a living image seated in the heart, an unwalled wideness and a fathomless point. The truth of all these cryptic shows in space, the real towards which our strivings move, the secret, grandiose meaning of our lives.
Yeah, thank you. This larger self is the origin and the master clue. So it is the origin of all the movements. It is the origin of all manifestation. It is the origin of all the stuff that is there. And it is also a hint, master clue, a hint towards our own truth. And how is it revealed? It can be revealed in various forms. It can be sensed as a silence overhead, an inner voice. So at times one is deeply aware of this deep silence that accompanies you wherever you are, whether you're working or maybe silent, not talking. But this deep silence is something which you're always aware of, as if it's your constant companion. So either it reveals itself in such a form, or as an inner voice, an inner guiding voice which you can always have access to. Either it reveals itself as this, or an living image seated in the heart. So mother talks about this at many anecdotes, that one can feel this as if one looks within, and one can feel this living presence, living image. It can come in the form of an image also, seated in the depths of the heart, what Mother and Sri Aurobindo would call the inner chamber or the inner temple, or an unwalled wideness. So a wideness like that of a space. Space is never ending. It is fathomless, vast. It has no end. No beginning can be seen. So an unwalled wideness, and also as a fathomless point. Now, if we look at a point, any point, even a material point, if you look at it may appear very limited by the face value, that this has a boundary and this is what it is. But the moment we go deeper into that point, even materially looking point, we will see that there is no end to that point. If you go deeper into the electrons, protons, and even deeper, there is no end to that mystery. So a point may seem a point, that it is limited from the face value, just like we appears to be so limited by the bodies that we have. But we are not limited, and we all know that. There is no end to our, uh, we cannot have a boundary. There are no boundaries that we have. Although on the external, it seems that my body has a boundary and this is where I end. Yeah. So fathomless point, unwalled wideness. These are the ways in which the self, the larger self, the true self reveals itself to us. The truth of all these cryptic shows in space. This reality, this true self, is the truth of all cryptic shows, all the leela, the play going on, play of form, play of matter, play of mind going on in space. Cryptic, it is illusory. It seems like a puzzle to us. And this is the truth. The larger self is the truth behind all the puzzle that it creates. The real, it is the real towards which our strivings move. So at times we may not even be aware why are we moving in this direction, the life that we have as human beings. But all the actions, all the decisions, unknowingly or knowingly, go only towards this truth. There is no other destination that we have. This is one destiny that we share, all of us, each one of us. Movement, continuous movement towards this union, complete union with our truth. So, although it is our truth, and yet the union has to be further and further complete because of the instruments that we have, the mind, the vital, the body. All of them have to harmonize uh, them, them with the inner truth or the inner guidance. The secret, grandiose meaning of our lives. This is the meaning of our lives. This is the purpose of our lives. This is the goal towards all of us, towards which all of us move, either consciously or unconsciously. We may even, Mother says that the destination is only one, but the path can be either a longer one or a shorter, direct path. But it doesn't matter what the path is. Whenever we are ready, we can choose a shorter path. But the destination is only one. There is no backward journey. There is only forward and forward. Yeah. So please, I'll open the place for reflections if we have any reflections on these lines. Okay, so whenever you have, please share. This larger self has been shared in many scriptures. Upanishads have a very detailed vyakhya, if I can say, of this larger self, where they say that through which everything is known, but that itself cannot be known through things. That by which everything gets known, but that itself cannot be known through things. And that is where the mind feels frustrated, because the mind wants to know it and to grasp it, but the mind has to merge and dissolve in order to know it. So the mind cannot remain the mind and know the truth as well. It would not be graspable, because anything that is graspable is matter, is object, is limited. And it, by very definition, the divine is unlimited. And even when we look at matter, it may appear to be limited, but it's not limited. It's also the manifestation of divine itself. Yeah, so that larger self through which everything gets known, but that itself cannot be known through things. That is the beauty, that is the mystery that we live with day to day. Yeah? The paradox of truth, that which is not limited by the corporeality of the body, that which is not limited by the bodily self that we have. It may appear when the body is gone, that is also gone, because one is not able to see it, but we know that that's not true. Some of us have an idea that that's not true, have a knowing that that's not true. And although it is the huger of the hugest, it is the biggest of the biggest, as we call infinite, yet it is also the refinest of the refinest. And that's where he says, an unwalled wideness, so wide, so huge, and yet also so refined, so purified as a fathomless point. So a point which we easily can ignore, and yet the fathomlessness is there in the point. It is also again a representation of the divine. And this is the divine goal towards which all our journeys, knowingly, unknowingly, move. So let's go ahead.
Yeah, Monica, as you mentioned, it is in Kathopanishad actually. Yeah.
Yeah.
A living image seated in the heart, no? Not, I mean, it is a size of a thumb actually. Yeah, that living image, it is your size of the thumb. That is there in Kathopanishad, especially these lines. The whole secret knowledge is reflecting Kathopanishad only. But especially this line, no, a living image seated in the heart. It is directly from Kathopanishad. Yes.
The Angushtaman
Yeah,
Dasha.
Angushta Matra. Correct,
Yeah.
correct. Yeah.
Yeah. Beautiful. Yeah. Yeah. So whoever feels ready, please, the yellow lines.
A treasure of honey in the combs of God, a splendor burning in a tenebrous cloak. It is our glory of the flame of God, our golden fountain of the world's delight, an immortality cowled in the cape of death, the shape of our unborn divinity.
A treasure of honey in the combs of God. People who have tasted this nectar have often defined this as very sweet. Kabir, in one of the couplets, he would say, Ram ras, meetho ghanu, piye amar hui jai. And he says that the more I taste this nectar of immortality, because that makes us one with our immortal self, the more we practically live knowingly that this is my truth, this is my true self, it gives us a taste of immortality, the nectar of being our truth. And he says that the more I drink it, the more I have a wish to drink it more and more and more. So this is the melting, this is the love that all of us seek, whether through our relationships, through our families, through jobs, security, safety. That is the biggest safety, to know ourselves, to realize ourselves, to practically live a life knowing ourselves as this immortal self. Only that is the biggest safety that we are looking forward to through all our insurances and plans and policies, and maybe finding a best place to live or finding a best place to study. So we all seek security and safety in external conditions, but we see that that does not always, many a time, mostly does not go according to our plans. And this is the ultimate security that all of us are actually craving for, this union with our true being, knowing who we truly are. And mother says that we forget, the masters have said about forgetfulness, that we forget as a human being the moment we take the birth. So the only path then remains for us is to be constantly remembrance, to be in constant remembrance of who we truly are, to neglect all that burdens the mind, that this is your truth, this is your truth, makes us convince, and to stick to what we truly are, and through experience, not through theory, only through practical experience, this can be truly truly known, that all we experience in our life is just through this silent witnessing awareness. There is nothing, there is no experience of life if not for this wide witnessing awareness. So, am I truly the thought that comes and goes away? Am I truly the emotion that comes and goes away? Am I truly the life happenings, people, situations? Or am I the awareness that never ever leaves me, no matter how many situations change in my life? So this has to be practically lived each moment of our day. so that we really know in our hearts that I am this immortal self, which is never going to die and is never born and is limitless. And this is the being that I share with you. Each one of us shares this being. There is no partition in awareness. Awareness is just one stretched being, just like space is one. Yeah? And then there are houses in space. So it's like we, all of us, are houses in this vast being of awareness. So can we say that I am different and you are different, in the sense that you are other than me? We all share this being of awareness. That is what connects us and makes one with each other. And this is the true nectar. This is the true nectar that we all seek through external things. A treasure of honey in the combs of God. A splendor burning in a tenebrous cloak, this dark, dense matter that we are. It hides this splendor. And Mother talks about the supramental race, she shares that even the body, the matter, would undergo beautiful transformation, so that the matter right now, which hides the divinity, it will not hide the divinity, but reflect more and more clarity the divinity. A splendor burning in a tenebrous cloak, the body that we have, the dense matter that we have. It is our glory of the flame of God, this larger self within. Our golden fountain of the world's delight. The world is based on this delight, the Satchid Ananda. Even when we are having a rasa or juice in our ruminations in thought, we are having a rasa. We are having a delight. Maybe it's a sadistic delight. So there is no movement if not for a delight. Even when we are in depression, there is a dukh ras, what we call dukh ras. We take a rasa in that, because delight is the basis of all existence. So if I am really engrossed in my story and ruminating about it, it is not possible that I do not have a rasa in that, because delight is the basis of all existence. And this larger self is our golden fountain of world's delight. An immortality cowled in the cape of death. The body that we have, which is so mortal, so fragile, so delicate, like clay. Kabir talks about the body, and he calls it kachi mitti. कच्ची मिट्टी का तेरा कुंभ बना है, एक झटके से टूट जाएगा, he says. One little sway from air here and there, and it's gone. But we fail to notice that there is immortality cowled in this bodily form. Most of the times we are just referring to ourselves as this body form, as this body form. And that's why all the struggle about self-preservation, filing policies to save ourselves. And even then, when the death has to strike, can anyone save it? No matter how much money you have. Yeah. And that's how we go through fears of all kind, anxieties of all kinds, related to our family members, our own selves, that what if I am gone, what if I am gone? Because we don't see the immortal self that we are, we just see the bodily self that we are. But that's only partial truth, that's not the true truth. And that's why we suffer. The shape of our unborn divinity. Now this is a beautiful line, I feel, that this larger self is the shape of our unborn divinity. So a divinity which is yet to be taken birth through the mind, through the vital, through the physical. And this is what our preparation should be as human beings. That more and more, this light that we know that is lying within us 24/7, can we shine it out through the instruments that we have, dispelling the darkness, and more divinity reflecting itself out in words, actions, speech, behavior. That is the bridge that we have to kind of construct from the inner to the outer. And we have to give birth to this divinity, going through all the pains and mistakes and blunders. We have to constantly give birth to our newer selves. Constantly. It's I feel that it's a never ending journey. I can never say that, okay, I have given birth to myself and I'm done. It's a constant and never ending journey of giving birth to our unborn divinity in this life. Yeah, please share reflections. Yeah, Jishnuji, you want to share?
No, no, I wanted to read next.
Okay, please go ahead.
Yeah, thank you. It guards for us our fate in depths within, where sleeps the eternal seed of transient things. Always we bear in us a magical key, a magic key, concealed in light's hermetic envelope.
Yeah, thank you. So
I think this 4 lines,
Yeah.
like the summary of the previous 8 lines or
Yeah.
previous lines that we read, that it provides us in summary that all the delight, the inner being that we spoke of, that is guarding us, our fate from the depths within, where sleeps the eternal seed of transient things. And this is the eternal seed, which is the intransient, immutable. I mean, Mother has said somewhere, like, where she related everything to psychic beings. So she said that it is the psychic being. She just described that suppose you are a child, you grew up, you grew old, and everything around you changed, right? The people around you, circumstances, your physical body, your mind. But even then, you have the sense of continuity, that it is me with whom certain things happen. It is I who grew up. And from where does this sense of continuity comes? From the psychic being, the intransient, and which on a larger scale, which moves from life to life, birth to birth, the immutable and the intransient among the transient things, which always we bear in us the magic key. I mean, the secret, the solution, the key is within us, concealed in life's hermetic envelope. It is what we feel in this sealed envelope. If we consider this body as the envelope, as you said about Kabir, it is that Doha, that's like the uh, mud vessel which can break. It is here that we have to find the secret, and because the secret is there itself.
Yeah, thank you so much, Jishnuji. Yeah, anyone else who wants to share on this? Okay, so let's go ahead then. Yeah, anyone who feels ready?
A burning witness in the sanctuary regards through time and the blind walls of form. A timeless light is hidden eyes, his hidden eyes. He sees the secret things no words can speak, and knows the goal of the unconscious world and the heart of the mystery of the journeying.
Yeah, thank you, Mohanji. Yeah, anyone who has reflections, if before I speak, I please share reflections. Okay, so I'll just go ahead then and get that case. A burning witness in the sanctuary. So this inner sanctuary, it's like a sacred inner place, hidden sacred place. There exists, if one can use the word exist, a burning witness, this constant burning flame, which is a witnessing flame, which Mother also refers to as the psychic flame, the inner flame. Regards, and this meaning of regards here is looks, watches. It looks through time and blind walls of form. So this inner witness can look beyond the form. It's like as if one has this inner eye which looks beyond the form. One can refer also to the third eye of the Shiva, or the third eye which is referred to in the chakras also, the third eye chakra. So whenever we begin to look at things beyond the form that they have, beyond the external happenings, looking not just at the face value, but also looking beyond the face value, then it opens the inner eye or the spiritual eye, where you are able to look beyond the physical manifestations, external manifestations. So one may have a disease, for example, but one would not just be victimized that, oh my God, I have this disease. One would be able to look beyond the manifestations of the disease. What is the deeper truth that the disease may be conveying? So this burning witness, owing to the presence of which it watches things and manifestations through time, although it itself is timeless, limitless, and the blind walls of form. A timeless light is in his hidden eyes. It's, whenever there are cases where people are in depression and they know that they are in depression, people are going through maybe a very dark phase and they know, something in them knows that something is not right. So what in them knows that something is not right? Because if it was all dark, one would not able to really see the darkness, that yes, it is dark. So there is this, no matter how dark the challenges may become, there is this light, a flicker of light at times, only that much is enough to be able to see that yes, there is darkness. And what sees that there is darkness? Because darkness itself cannot see by itself. So this timeless light is hidden in his hidden eyes. It is not in capture of time, in the grasp of time. He sees the secret things no words can speak. I think very obvious lines here. He sees the secret things no words can speak. And Mother and Sri Aurobindo talk about our larger self, and they say that the waking mind consciousness that we have, it is only as if a tip of iceberg, and there is much, much, much more that although we are aware of, we know, but we are not able to access those depths in the waking state. And whenever we are able to relax the noisy, clamorous movements of external self, we are able to harness or be aware of those witnessed moments also, which the larger self has seen. And all the answers lie in this larger self. Only that we are not able to access it because we are so noisy most of the times. He sees the secret things no word can speak and knows the goal of the unconscious world. So at times it may appear that this world is just going round and round and round mechanically. To some of us, it may initially appear like that. But as we grow forward, we see that that's not true. It's not for no purpose that the earth or the planets move mechanically. There is a higher purpose to existence, which often we are not aware of. So the world may appear to be just going round and round in a natural, mechanical, technical movement, but it's not totally an unconscious movement. There is a higher design to it, a plan to it. And the goal of the unconscious world is to give birth to divinity in time. And the heart of the mystery of the journeying years. So, why we keep on taking births after births, and eons and centuries pass, and the existence continues? What is the purpose of all that continuation? And when our inner eye awakens, when we awaken ourselves to the larger self, we slowly can become aware of the purpose behind the existence. Yeah, so please share reflections.
I think one beautiful line, while you have covered everything, which stood out in my eyes is this: and knows the goal of the unconscious world. See, we, as you said, that there is sickness, there is depression, and if we look around, we feel that there is so much injustice, right? I mean, things are not as per our wish, not in harmony with our will, or not in accordance to what we want. And apart from that, there is surely unconsciousness. I mean, in general, unconsciousness, uh, which we witness. But there is a goal behind it, and that the inner being, if we are conscious of the inner being, we can see that even through this unconscious, and we know there are lines in Savitri where they say that even when we are apparently not progressing, our soul progresses. Similarly, nations, world, creations, races, even what may seem like apparent unconsciousness, they're progressing through that, because ultimately everybody is progressing towards the goal. Only thing is, when we are aware of this inner truth, of our own inner truth, then we will be able to appreciate that in totality. That's how I feel.
Yeah, beautiful. Yeah, very true. Yeah, if there are any more reflections, please go ahead.
Yeah, I don't have much to say, but this line, like the blind walls of form, is kind of really, I don't know, striking a chord because it seems so real, the form, like of mine and everybody else's and the world. And yet the walls, blind walls. So just like the combination of the choice of words used here.
Yeah, beautiful. Thank you for bringing that up. And we consider this so real, as if we are living a blind life also. Because for us, this becomes our reality, the world of form.
I mean, it becomes so much reality that, oftentimes when we are talking to people, it's like, but in my real world, right, as if that
Yeah,
the things that we talk about normally, if we are not, say, working or gymming or watching the news, is not real. Like somehow this
mm,
segregation mostly comes, right? That, but this I can understand when you talk, but in my real life, so this, it's
yeah,
really amazing. And I think I really like the way you said it, because we are living a blind life. These walls are there, the blind walls, and that's why we can't see, and we feel that's not real and this is, and vice versa, right? When,
mm,
yeah.
mm. Beautiful. Thank you. Yeah, anyone else? Okay, so let's move ahead then. Yeah, anyone who feels ready, please. Read.
But all is screened, subliminal, mystical. It needs the intuitive heart, the inward tone. It needs the power of a spiritual gaze.
Yeah, thank you. So this is beautiful again, that all this reality, what truly is real, what not, what truly is real, this all is screened. That's why we call it a play. Maybe it's Leela, world's divine's Leela, because all that is true appears to be screened, and all that we consider as real appears very, very gross, like it hits at our face. And we have to then consider it very, very real because everybody is talking about it. So all this larger self, the reality, is screened. It's subliminal, mystical. Hmm? And what it needs is, how do we know that? It needs the intuitive heart, the inward turn. It needs the power of a spiritual gaze. So as if, there is a puzzle that we have to crack, like a play is happening and you're playing hide and seek. They say Lord Krishna plays hide and seek with the gopis. So it's almost like that, that the divine plays hide and seek, but with whom? With himself only, because there is no one but the divine. So he himself created his own kind of pieces in ignorance, and now he himself is finding himself through the pieces which are ignorant pieces. So it's no one's loss, when we talk about, like, why is divine playing this play with me? It's almost like, really, at times it's hilarious because it's his play and he is playing with himself. So where do I come into picture? Yeah, so this play, all this larger reality, the truth, our true truth, is screened and subliminal. It's hidden. It's hidden in the depths. What is available to us is only just the tip of the iceberg. All the bigger part of the iceberg is hidden. It's mystical. It needs the intuitive heart. So through intuitions, through our intuitive perceptions, when the mind and the being is silent, we get glimpses of this truth. And even those glimpses are so, so beautiful that one can live a lifetime with those glimpses, with that nectar of sweetness within. Yeah, and this needs an inward turn, and this is what we call the spiritual eye or the third eye, when we wake ourselves not to the grosser forms but also to what lies beyond the form. Who speaks beyond from the form? Who is speaking? Who is aware of the things beyond the form? So this is what we call the spiritual gaze. A gaze, mother would say that I do not look at what you present to me. I look at what is your truth, what your deepest aspiration is, what your psychic aspiration is. That is what I look at. So you don't have to actually say anything to me. I will understand just by looking at you what is your deepest aspiration. And that is what matters most to me. Yeah, and it needs the power of spiritual gaze. So to access our depths, to access our own reality, we need, it's almost urgent to really slow down, to become silent in our being, so that this larger being is accessible and we can live a life through this being rather than just through the surface consciousness, which will mostly be agitated, aggressive. Yeah. Yeah, so please share reflections.
I feel when this para, no, these lines actually, it shows again Sri Aurobindo's lot of compassion towards us. Yes, because in the previous thing, Sri Aurobindo beautifully explained about our inner being. So that is the truth. But how it will be very difficult for the human beings to, I mean, to go inside and find out that inner being. Yeah, these things are coming now. Yes, I feel
Yeah,
like,
beautiful.
yeah. He knows our difficulty
Yeah,
always. Yeah.
so true. So true. He leaves hints and clues here and there for us
Yes.
to follow.
Yes.
Yeah. That's a beautiful way to look at it. Yeah.
I feel if one really tries to gaze inward, to try to look within, to silence oneself, there are spells where the connect begins. And he has always said, Mother and Sri Aurobindo both always said that you turn silent, get quiet, and you go within. It's not that difficult. So, on the other hand, I would beg to differ that it is we who don't silence ourselves and don't have those spells where we turn within or quieten ourselves and develop an awareness. But if we did, I think we would be able to sort of connect much faster to develop a kind of a inward turn and an intuitive heart and a spiritual gaze. It'll come in a flash. That's what I felt.
Thank you so much. That's awesome. Yeah, any further reflections on these lines? Okay, so in absence of reflections, please, anyone who is ready, read the lines.
Else to a waking mind small moment look, a goalless voyage seems a dubious course. Some chance has settled or hazarded some will, or a necessity without aim or cause. Unwilling, compelled, unwillingly compelled to emerge and be.
Thank you. So, if not for this inward turn, if not for the power of spiritual gaze, if not for the intuitive heart, left to our waking mind, the tip of the iceberg that is available to us mostly, if left to our waking mind's fragmentary, limited, very narrow consciousness, all this, the whole movement of the world existence, it seems like a goalless voyage, seems our dubious course. Very doubtful. The mind looks at it very with very much of skepticism and doubt that what is the purpose of all this existence, you know? If one is not able to turn this inward and spiritual gaze within and look to the deeper depths and larger reality, then to the limited mind's understanding all this appears very pointless. I have my doubts whether there is any divine or not, and it seems like really pointless. What is the purpose of life? Why are we here at all? And it seems that how I try to reason about it, that maybe some chance event brought this all in existence, and maybe some will wanted to take a risk or wanted to try things out at its own accord, and it's just a hit and a trial kind of going on through this existence, or a necessity without aim or cause. So maybe the things that happened, a need arose for existence. And through that need, all this is going, the drama is going on, and there is no particular purpose or aim to this drama. Yeah, so this is how the waking, limited, fragmentary mind would try to grapple with understanding the whole significance of existence, if not for the inward turn. And owing to this necessity, this blind necessity, you know, if you remember in the, I think it was in Symbol Dawn, where he refers to this mechanical movement of the earth, as if a blind necessity is just, and also to fate. I think he refers to fate as this blind necessity. Things are just going on, cause and effect, cause and effect, cause and effect. Unwillingly compelled to emerge and be. So as if nothing in the universe really wanted to be, but out of some random haphazard happenings, we are just brought into existence. And there is no particular, really higher purpose to existence, just this pointless moving on. And then we are free to do whatever we want to, whether we want to make or break our life. It doesn't matter because there is no purpose to life. Yeah. So this is how the waking mind tries to grapple, to understand the manifestation or the existence or the purpose of life. Yeah, please share if there are any reflections. Okay, so I'm assuming there is no further reflection on these lines. So we'll just take up the last lines for today. We'll end after this. So please, yeah.
In this dense field where nothing is plain or sure, our very being seems to us questionable, our life a vague experiment, the soul a flickering light in a strange, ignorant world, the earth a brood mechanic accident, a net of death in which by chance we live.
Yeah, so again, very self-explanatory, I would say, after reading these lines, mostly, as if whatever is fathomable for us at this moment. So it feels that in this dense field, the world of matter, dense matter, which obscures the light within, in this dense field where nothing is plain or sure, nothing is really straightforward, everything appears to be really cryptic or as if like a riddle. Our very being seems to us questionable. Why are we really existing? What is my purpose to exist? Is it all an illusion? Am I truly existing? People do actually, many people have reflected upon this, that do we really exist, or is this all just a play going on? Our very being seems to us questionable. Our life a vague experiment, as if some hazy experiment is going on, not with clear, any definite ideas or hypothesis, just an experiment, very hazy, non-pointed experiment is going on through this life. And that's why many people would also say that maybe God is playing just some evil tricks on us. Why am I going through all that? Because we fail to, mostly we fail to really have this deeper understanding, unless we are stuck with this necessity to understand what is my purpose to be. The soul appears to be a flickering light in a strange, ignorant world. All the happenings of world where people are doing, even in our own individual lives, we can just go to any extent of any evil that we want to do, such as our blind ignorance, and that gets translated in the whole global scenario as well. The how we have played havoc with earth itself. So whatever we do in our limited lives, we can extrapolate it on a larger scale. The same ignorance gets extrapolated on a larger scale. So the soul appears to be just a flickering light. It's not that it's there in its full manifestation. All light, all light. There is more darkness that is seen mostly through the limited waking mind. A flickering light in a strange, ignorant world. And the earth, a brute mechanic accident. This is really hilarious. A net of death in which by chance we live. So, to the waking, reasoning mind, to the limited, fragmentary mind, It appears without any intuition, without any inward sight. It appears that as if it's just some, the Big Bang happened, and out of that planets came, Earth also came, and here we are. There is no much higher purpose to any of those events. The Earth, a brute mechanic accident, a net of death in which by chance we live. So, as if we are just by chance trapped in this dense matter, and we just have no choice but to live through it. Yeah, so I would invite more reflections, very interesting lines if there are any.
I think one thing I would like to just say on this, that even if like right now when I am reading this, the questioning aspect, it feels a bit painful at times, right? That why if we go in that direction. But I think that if you're able to even question this, that also is such a blessing, because like it was said above, like those blind walls of forms, the lives, surprisingly, the lives that we live, we don't even have room for these questions, because there are so many things that needs to be completed, which we don't know why we are doing, but we are just doing and doing and doing. So even to be here and question about this experiments and this, like everything is, I feel a lot of grace has already touched you, if one can resonate with this.
Very true. So true.
And the last line also, a net of death in which by chance we live. Like having experienced like death closely, sometimes like just sharing about myself, it feels heavy, it feels like, oh my god, I've had it, I've done it once. How many more times will I have to have people die around me? How many bodies will I have to carry on my shoulders, like just symbolically speaking? So it seems like, I mean, if I allow myself to go in that direction, it feels like a load, right? Like, and it feels like I don't know how much I'll be able to do in that. So by chance we live. Yeah, I mean, just the words of play again, the whole, this section, that the last that you've highlighted is really beautiful. Dense field, nothing is sure, and yet we are looking for surety. Questionable, but we don't question. Vague experiment, but we always want to be so safe and cautious that we don't want. Like it's like we're doing the opposites, right? And then wondering what's wrong. Why does it feel heavy? So yeah, thank you.
Yeah, anyone else? Okay, so I'm not taking up further lines, which again are so, so beautiful. I just have to put brakes on myself, because it's good to just take a short patch and reflect upon that. Yeah, okay. I should not be looking at those lines. Very addictive. Okay, so yeah, thank you so much, everyone. In absence of further reflections, I think we can call it a day here. Thank you for joining in, and thank you for sharing your reflections and listening.
Yeah, thank you, Monica. All
Thank you.
lines are beautifully meditative lines. Yeah,
Beautiful.
as
Yes.
Jyotsna ji shared, these lines itself will take you inside. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, thank you, madam.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you, everyone. Bye
Thank
bye.
you.
Bye bye.
Thank
Thank you. Bye bye.